Right. Thanks for tuning back into the Patriot News. This is the second part of the report from Uvalde. Now, I just saw on KHOU out of Houston that two fathers were not let into to review the report. Not quite sure what happened. No, I don't have any information other than they were not allowed in. I did recognize their faces, and I went through a lot of video to try to find them, and I found out who they are. So it's so what I'm going to do is play the KHOU video first, because they didn't put the names of the fathers. I'm not quite sure why. And then the second part will be clips of each of the fathers talking about their situation. And the first father, he has a camouflage hat and camouflage glasses. I remembered him from the early days when this first happened. His name is Jessie Rodriguez. His daughter is Annabelle Rodriguez. And then the next gentleman, I don't know his first name. I'm trying to find out. His last name is Garza. So Mr. Garza, and his daughter is Mary Jo Garza. It's his daughter. And so first I'll play the KHOU video, and secondary, then I'll play the video of those two gentlemen, and hopefully we can find out what exactly happened, why they were not able to go in to hear the report. So let's try to find that out.
Speaking of sweet, speaking of emotional, speaking of the community, we have sound that we're going to play from you from a pair of fathers from earlier today that I believe were not allowed in the meeting earlier.
At the end of the day, what were you just looking for?
Answer what happened to my baby, you know, and now I'm not going to know what happened, you know, because I wasn't on the list. You telling me I can't go in to find out what happened to my daughter? So who's making that law?
Super mad about it. Like, there's no one that has a right to tell me, like, I shouldn't be included in some of those things. I'm mad. I'm super mad.
So that reporter voice you heard there, that was our Anieli Ruiz. She was one of the first ones there on the scene that day on May 24th. And she's the only one. She's been staying in touch with these families, nonstop talking to them. And she was the only one that was able to speak with those two fathers there who were not able, or actually able. They were able. They were not allowed to go into today's meeting for whatever reason. We're going to get to the bottom of that.
I'd like to know that.
Yeah, but you could still hear it in their voices. They're just disappointed. They're angry. He said he's mad. Mm-hmm. And you can understand why. And you know, we watched the video. Some people are visual learners. Other people learn different ways. When you read this and then you watch the video, it definitely is infuriating regardless of how you divulge information.
It's just compounding. The more information we learn, whether we read it in a report or we see it on video, it just heightens that anger. And you don't have to be just listening to those parents.
Yeah.
Parents there. It makes me angry that they weren't able.
Yeah, you're a new dad.
That makes no sense.
Yeah.
That absolutely makes no sense. But
the closed community in Uvalde, Texas is dealing with the emotional distress following last week's horrific mass shooting. On Friday, CBS News' Lilia Luciano spoke with Jessie Rodriguez, a father whose 10-year-old daughter Annabelle was killed in the elementary school shooting.
Nobody wanted to tell me where my daughter was at. That's the worst part. I mean, I went back and forth everywhere. I mean, went to school. Every ambulance I saw, I checked maybe her body was in there. I mean, even in hospitals, they locked me out. You know, they wouldn't let me go in to take a blood test to identify my child. She was torn to shreds. The response time was awful. I mean, apparently there was an officer that I know that seen the suspect with the firearm, and yet I didn't hear that he tried to put a stop to him before entering the school. These guys swore an oath to protect the serve. And nobody did nothing. They just sat there behind a wall. Our baby's still getting in there, getting slaughtered. I blame everybody, all the officers that were there. Even I, unarmed, no chest piece, I would have entered to try to do something. Not stand behind a wall. I would have ran in there. Even if he would have killed me, at least I tried. At least I tried. Unlike them, sitting there. And I hope a lot of parents speak up. Because if not, I'm speaking up for all the parents. Not wait for a commander to tell them what to do. Get in. Take control. If you swore the oath to protect the serve, why wait for that one man to tell you, take control?
Back to our other top story. We're hearing from families tonight in Uvalde, including some who have not heard whether or not their children and loved ones even survived.
Daniel Marin is in Uvalde for us, where the community is trying to cope. Daniel, of course, they're burdened with questions as to how this all happened.
And some of the families that are awaiting word on their loved ones were directed to this church you see behind me here. It's about 3 minutes from Robb Elementary School. It is very quiet here tonight, as you would expect. I did speak with a father of a 9-year-old girl who was still waiting for news on her condition.
This was her today. She received the AB honor roll from school today when they were giving out the awards.
Alfred Garza says this picture of his daughter, Amy Jo, captures her perfectly, always smiling.
We know she's injured, we just don't know her state yet.
We spoke with Garza as he and other families with loved ones inside the school gathered outside this church as the sun began to set. One by one, they were called in to receive the news they were hoping for or the news they're not sure they can handle. The waiting itself difficult to imagine. Garza expressed frustration over investigators and state officials releasing the number of victims before all families could be notified.
We don't know anything about our children, and yet they can put that information out there to the public, and we're still waiting to hear from our own children.
He told me, though he's preparing himself for the worst, he's hoping for a miracle.
I'm just trying to be strong for my family, for my daughter, that I know she's out there. Hopefully she's out there and she's scared. I know she's scared.
And you certainly get the sense that this entire town is in mourning tonight. As we were driving in just a couple of hours ago, we did notice that a lot of businesses and restaurants were already closed for the day. This is a small city of about 15,000 people, and tonight they are without some of them. Back to you.
We're hoping that father hears good news soon, Daniel. Thank you so much.